Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I'm Shimere, and in today's video we're going to be talking about all that glitters. Okay, so you guys, this one did not disappoint. Okay, if you haven't seen All That Glitters, I definitely suggest that you go back and watch it. It was definitely worth the watch. Okay, I've been really interested since Ruby, then Pearl in the Mist, and now All That Glitters. So I definitely think you should catch up on it before you actually watch this video, because I will be discussing things that happen in the movie and I don't want to spoil it for you. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you watch it and then come back and watch and get all the juicy details afterwards. Okay, alrighty, for those of us who did watch All That Glitters, let's get right into it. So you guys, you guys, Paul in the beginning of this one was working on my last nerves. Okay, I hate to say it like that, but I was just like, Paul is driving me crazy. If Paul asks Ruby to marry him one more time, Paul, if you ask Ruby to marry you one more time, I'm gonna lose it. Okay, that's what I was thinking. So okay, we start off, Ruby basically tells Paul no, like, okay, Paul, you're my half brother, I cannot marry you. Okay, but what happens is Ruby decides she's gonna go back to stay at her house that she lived at with her grandmare. Okay, so Ruby goes back to the house thinking, okay, I can take care of the baby on my own at the house. And what happens? Here comes Buster. Okay, now Buster is the same one who paid her grandpa the money to marry her. Basically, he bought her from her grandfather. But in Pearl in the Mist, not to spoil it, but if you haven't watched it, this is what happened. In Pearl in the Mist, we saw that Ruby was like, oh no, you're not selling me today, not today. And she basically attacked him and was able to escape. So here comes Buster sneaking and creeping in the woods and decides that he comes to get his money's worth because he's already paid for her. Okay, and at this point I was like, ooh, Ruby, ooh, you better beat his tail. Like, find a way, Ruby, find a way. Okay, and luckily she did. But you guys, what happened after that is, of course, now she's all shaken up and scared. And who does she run to? Paul. Now, okay, at this point, I was like, Ruby, why are we going to Paul? We know that Paul is in love with you and Paul is trying to marry you every 5 minutes, okay? But Ruby goes there. Paul convinces her, you know what, let's get married. Basically, like, it was just going to be like a little agreement to where they were going to put on a front. So let's get married. We can stay in separate rooms. We don't have to, sleep together or anything, because Ruby made it clear that they're brother and sister and she's not trying to do that. That's crossing the line, okay? So anyway, she agrees, they get married, okay? But of course, Giselle pops back up, bringing her news of Beau and things that Beau has going on. Then decides to be, Giselle and marry Beau, get with Beau. So here's Ruby, she's all heartbroken, and she's like, basically Giselle's living her life at this point. Like, she's with the love of her life, and she's stuck at the house with Paul, and, it was a big thing. So, not Giselle, Ruby, Ruby actually got up the nerve and went to cheat with Beau. And I was like, oh, okay, Ruby, this what we doing? You sleeping with your sister's husband now? Ruby. But Paul knew, okay? And at this point, I was like, now, Paul, see, how did you know that quick what was going on? Like, Paul, was somebody stalking Ruby for you? Like, Paul knew very quickly what happened, okay? But Ruby, decides, okay, we're not going to do this. Paul is having a hard time with this. I have to break it off, Beau, okay? That's what she tells Beau. But then what happens is Beau and Giselle go off to some cabin, family property or whatever. Giselle gets bitten by the mosquito. Here we go. Now Giselle is in a coma. Now, honestly, you guys, I really thought, based on the fact that she surprised me when she jumped out of that wheelchair in the other movie and she could walk, I was really thinking, ooh, like, when is Giselle gonna wake up out of that coma? Like, I thought she was gonna, maybe she was faking it. She faked that she could walk, so I thought maybe she was faking that she was in a coma. But, that wasn't the case. So, Beau comes up with a plan, and he's like, okay, we'll just switch you two out. We'll just say that you're Giselle, and we'll say that she's you, and we'll send her to the house for Paul to take care of, basically. Now here I was like, okay, look, I get it. Ruby, I'm with you. I'm fighting for you to be with your love, okay? I want you to be with Bo. But at the same time, I was like, that's kind of dirty for y'all to just dump Giselle off, knowing she needs round-the-clock care and he's in love with you. Like, I mean, clearly he's tripping because he's your brother and he shouldn't be asking you to marry him every 5 minutes. But you know he's in love. So why would you then turn around and make him just have to take care of Giselle? You know what I'm saying? I thought that was a little dirty, but you know, that's what they did. So for a while, they're pulling things off. Ruby is turning very much into like Giselle. You know, her attitude is changing. It was looking pretty rough for a second there. We get to the point to where poor Paul is just consumed with grief. He's drinking, he's having a hard time, and he's just having all of these issues, you guys, because he is just left to take care of Giselle, and Ruby is running around here living her best life as Giselle, and he's depressed, okay? Now, fast forward, you know, a few things happen, but fast forward to the point, you guys, I was so shocked. Giselle actually died. And I was like, well, this isn't fun. I mean, I wasn't expecting her to die. Now, you know, of course, in the movie, Giselle's kind of like, you know, the bad one, okay? But I felt some type of way when Giselle died. I was like, oh no, like she really died? Like for real, for real? Giselle, you know, so I felt a little sad, okay? I'm not gonna even lie, I was a little sad. And I was just like, okay, like what is Ruby gonna do now? Then, not to mention Paul. Poor Paul is so shook up that he's drinking and he's so depressed, he's like, he can't live without Ruby. Here's one thing that, you know, can you guys, one of you, let me know in the comments down below, okay? Because I was a little confused at this part. So, from what I was gathering, I was confused about whether Paul was actually really starting to believe that Giselle was Ruby because he was drinking so much and he was so depressed. Or was he really just that sad and emotional and feeling like he lost Ruby because he knew that since Giselle had died, Ruby was still gonna be with Bo? Like, because I was like, okay, is Paul confused? Like, does Paul really think the body laying in the casket is Ruby? Like, has he gone that far? Or is it that he knows there's no chance of him being with Ruby because now she's just gonna be with Bo since Giselle has died? You know, I was like, okay. I didn't know. Yeah, so anyway, poor Paul was just so consumed with grief that, you know, he's run off and killed himself. So of course his mom then threw out there that she knows what happened, okay? She knew. She was like, look, I know you're not Giselle. I know you're Ruby. Like, you hurt my baby and I'm coming for you, okay? Basically. And boy, did she come for Ruby. Brought the people to the house to come and pick up the baby, okay? Because that was the plan, okay? See, I forgot to mention that part. Okay, so you know, when they switched places, they were like, okay, we'll just say that we sent the baby to live with her aunt while we deal with, you know, this terrible situation that she's in a coma. So of course the mama turned around and flipped it on her and was like, you know what? Well, then we're gonna say that we need our granddaughter back because you're not her mother. And at this point, I was like, okay, you know what? There have been many, many moments in this movie where I was like, Ruby, just, how are you even keeping this lie going at this point? Like, just tell everybody the truth and be done, okay? Because I wouldn't have been able to do it. But I was like, in this moment right here, if Ruby does not say, you know what? I am not Giselle, I'm Ruby, and y'all better not take my baby anywhere, I'm going to turn this TV. That's what I was thinking. But luckily, she said it, and so I was able to keep on watching. But you guys, basically, you know, after the trial and all that, luckily Ruby was able to get her daughter back, you know, so now it looks like her and Bo are living happily ever after, okay? But are they? Because when we see the preview for the other movie, doesn't look like that might be the case. I hope you guys enjoyed the movie. Make sure you let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.